I honestly can't believe it, but we're now in July, and even though it's the peak of summer, we are not slowing down in terms of big video game releases. This week, Xbox has announced the first wave of Xbox Game Pass games coming to us for this July, and this month is looking bloody incredible when it comes to value for our Game Pass subscription. So with that, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation. Subscribe for more Xbox content every single day, and let's dive into the 15 games coming to Xbox Game Pass for this July. First up and launching as of today is one of my favourite IPs of the past decade, and that is Little Nightmares 2. With the third installment launching later on this year, there is no better time to jump into this nightmarish hellscape whilst hiding and running from some pretty gruesome creatures. This is actually a really good horror game without the need for jump scares, and instead absolutely nails that tension and the atmosphere without those cheap thrills. The residents of nowhere that you will encounter throughout the game are enormous, gruesome, and highly creepy, and they will send shivers down your spine in every single encounter. I'm usually not a fan of horror due to those jump scares, but Little Nightmares 2 is one of my favourites in this genre. Joining us on the very same day, Xbox Game Pass is bringing back a major title, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and it's certainly a welcome return for sure. With the first and third games in the trilogy already available on the service, it's great to have the full reboot series back together. This installment though really stands out for its intense action, stunningly hostile environments, and cinematic storytelling. For me personally, I think it's the highlight of the entire trilogy, especially in terms of the story arc, and just because Lara still isn't a fully fledged adventurer. You'll follow Lara Croft as she embarks on her first real tomb raiding mission after the events of the first game, this time chasing a lost city and fending off the ruthless Trinity organization. If you're into third-person action-adventure games, then this one is absolutely worth checking out right now. Ultimate Chicken Horse is a name that I've kind of never heard of before, but delving a bit deeper into this one, it seems like a pretty fun party platformer, especially if you have some friends to play it with. In Chicken Horse, up to 4 local players build the level together from various pieces, from platformer classics such as springs to trapdoors and even teleporters. The pieces really do allow you to make some very varied and creative gauntlets for you all to enjoy. Obviously, as you can see, this is a platformer, so if you're not a fan of these sort of 2D adventure style games, you might want to skip this one. However, according to the overwhelmingly positive reviews over on Steam from over 37,000 players, it seems like an incredible co-op experience that might make or break your friendship group. Finally, after what seems like an eternity, the Ascent is finally making its way back to Xbox Game Pass this July, and to be honest, I am pretty excited as this game was an absolute blast. Oh, and I do need to pop up the achievements. If you're unfamiliar, this is a cyberpunk RPG that blends twin-stick shooting with very deep RPG mechanics and stunning visuals. It is set in a corporate-controlled dystopia, and the game essentially throws you into a brutal fight for survival as an indentured worker that's been abandoned by their overlord. To make it out alive, you will have to upgrade your own cybernetic abilities, acquiring devastating high-tech weapons, and then battling your way through crime-ridden districts filled with deadly enemies. One of the Ascent's strongest features though is its co-op mode, allowing you to experience the neon-soaked action alongside your friends, and to be honest, is an absolute blast. Another game I've never heard of before is landing on the 9th of July, and it's called Minami Lane. From the offset, I know this one is a management sim, but upon doing some more research for this video, it looks as though it's a tiny, cozy sim that has you managing a Japanese-inspired street, and looking at the reviews over on Steam yet again, it's been pretty well received across the board. It has been stated that Minami Lane is a short and sweet management style game which takes you through a set of levels with defined goals that you need to reach to complete. This entails building houses, parks, and various shops, then tweaking certain things like what shops sell to make everyone happy. I think the main highlight I can see is that the mechanics are pretty solid throughout, and even though it's not the largest experience, it makes up for it in its cozy vibes and its beautiful art style. Coming to Xbox Game Pass on the 11th of July, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 is set to drop in a very big way, and let's be honest, a lot of us have been waiting for this for a very long time. This remastered bundle brings back 2 of the most iconic skateboarding games ever made, completely rebuilt from the ground up. You're getting all of the legendary levels, skaters, and tricks from the originals, now with upgraded visuals, tighter controls, and a few new gameplay tweaks to keep things fresh. Multiplayer is of course better than ever before, with a cross-platform support for up to 8 players, and both the Creator Park and Creator Skater modes have also been given a serious upgrade. The classic soundtrack is back as well, mixing in fan favourites with some brand new tracks, obviously due to licensing reasons. I've got a ton of nostalgia for the series. I did used to spend hours upon hours building custom parks on the original Xbox, so I'm seriously excited to dive back in when it hits Xbox Game Pass. With High on Life 2 arriving later on this year, and you never got to experience the original entry, well, you are in luck for this July. On the 15th of July, the first High on Life is returning to the Xbox Game Pass library, and you need to play this one if you haven't done so already. This one is made by the creator of Rick and Morty, so you can expect some really outlandish jokes and some truly trippy visuals. I really did love my time with this one, and even though the game didn't really break loads of new grounds in terms of FPS gameplay, it made up for it with its fantastic writing, its hilarious antics, and the pretty unique worlds. I do love the humour of Rick and Morty, so this game was always going to appeal to me, and I have no doubt that High on Life 2 is going to be exactly the same later on this year. I highly recommend this first entry, so if you haven't played it, now's the time to do so. Another standout coming to Xbox Game Pass this July is Abiotic Factor, a co-op survival crafting game that's already earned overwhelmingly positive reviews over on Steam. I did mention in the video this Sunday that it got a release date announcement, and now it's officially landing this month as a day one title. The game supports 1 to 6 players and is set in a sprawling underground research facility where a paranormal containment breach has unleashed some chaos. Of course, that means you'll have to scavenge materials, build your own defenses, and then survive against both hostile military squads and supernatural horrors. It looks to feature a surprisingly deep crafting and progression system, all wrapped up in an intense atmospheric setting. Honestly, to me, Abiotic Factor is shaping up to be one of those sleeper hits that could easily take the Game Pass community by storm. We Are World drops this July via Annapurna Interactive, and it is one that you need to keep an eye on. Set in the moody, neon-lit streets of Free Hub City, this indie adventure puts you in the shoes of a young rider on a surreal mission to essentially revive the magical ghost bikes that connect the world of the living and the dead. The game looks to mix exploration, time-based challenges, and light resource management as you have to maintain your bike and take on spectral racers in dreamlike competitions. Each win, though, will restore the peace of the world and then unravel the mysterious story. With its very unique art style, its emotional undertones, and what looks to be some pretty creative mechanics, We Are World is shaping up to be one of the year's most interesting indie releases. I'm curious to see how deep the narrative and customization systems go once it lands this month. Coming to Xbox Game Pass on the 24th of July, Wuchang Fallen Feathers is a gritty Souls-like action RPG set in the eerie final days of the Ming Dynasty. In this one though, you will play as Wuchang, a warrior that's been cursed with a strange feather affliction, navigating a world filled with tons of dark folklore and deadly enemies. Of course, the game does lean in heavily into that challenging combat that the Souls-like genre is really known for, and if you enjoyed stuff like Elden Ring or even Wolong, then you'll feel right at home here. What's even more impressive is that this is actually being developed by a tiny team of just 5 core members, and from early previews, it suggests that they nailed the tone and the gameplay. With a hub-based exploration system and haunting visuals, Wuchang is definitely one to watch. I will be reviewing this one at its launch, so expect my full thoughts and impressions soon before the release date. Grounded 2 was one of the best surprises at the Xbox Showcase this year, and after the excellent years that I had in Grounded 1, I can't wait to see what Obsidian have brought to the table in this brand new entry. Of course, we already know that it's going to be set in a brand new location called Broke Hollow Park, and along with this, there seems to be a ton of upgrades and extras that have been implemented this time around. From new perks, abilities, and even the addition of using bugs as mounts is looking mighty impressive and very much improved from the original entry. This one though is launching into Xbox Game Pass on the 29th of July as a day one title, but it will be in early access, so don't expect a fully polished experience right out the gates. If you cast your mind back to the original launch of Grounded 1, that entry also launched into early access, and over time it became so fleshed out in terms of content, updates, and so much more. Are you going to dive into Grounded 2? You'll have to let me know in the comments below. With all of these exciting Game Pass announcements, it's worth highlighting that a couple of titles are being added specifically to the Xbox Game Pass standard tier this July. So if you're on that plan, you've got some great games to dive into when they arrive on the 2nd of July. First up is Legend of Mana, a beautifully remastered version of the classic JRPG. Originally released on PlayStation, this one features hand-painted visuals, a whimsical soundtrack, and a non-linear story where you'll shape the world by placing artifacts and unlocking new regions. regions. It really is a nostalgic trip for longtime fans and a unique experience for newcomers who just want to explore a fancy world that feels unlike anything else on the market. Alongside it is Trials of Mana, the 3D remake of the beloved 1995 action RPG. This version completely reimagines that original with modern visuals, real-time combat, and also voice acting. You'll be choosing from a party of 3 characters from 6 available heroes, each with their own storylines and class paths, which gives it such great replay value. If you're into fantasy adventure games and character-driven storytelling, then this one's well worth diving into when it lands on Game Pass Standard. Of course, both of these do offer tons of charm and content, and it's great to see more variety coming to that standard tier for this month. A big milestone was also hit this week for the Xbox Retro Classics collection, as over 1 million players have now delved into this incredible package, which is part of your Game Pass subscription. In celebration of this, the service has now added 5 brand new games to the collection, and you can play them right now. These games are Cosmic Commuter, Heart of China, Skiing, Solar Storm, and Subterranea. Have you managed to try out the Retro collection yet, and what are your thoughts? Let me know down below. I do have to mention one game which isn't exclusive to Game Pass, as it is free to play, but you get some incredible perks for being a Game Pass member. On the 2nd of July, you'll be able to claim the Mecha Break Mash Pack Rocket Bundle, which includes some extra skins, bonuses, and so much more, and this is a pretty lovely perk all around. The game has just launched onto Xbox consoles, and it is a huge and fun title, so it's well worth diving into. As always, due to it being another wave of Xbox Game Pass games, we do unfortunately have some games leaving the service, and these are some big ones leaving this month. The games leaving on the 15th are Flock, Mafia Definitive Edition, Magical Delicacy, Chia, The Callisto Protocol, and The Case of the Golden Idol. Remember to wrap these ones up, or just use your Game Pass discount to purchase them before they leave, so you can continue playing as soon as possible. So, what game are you looking forward to on Xbox Game Pass this July? I can't bloody wait for Wuchang and Grounded 2, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my review coverage very soon. Like this video as well if you did enjoy it, and why not check out the video on screen now, as I covered the 15 hidden gems on Xbox Game Pass that you cannot miss in 2025.